Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag, which I feel like I'd be freaking out a lot less if Andrew hadn't literally read twice the books I've read this year so far. But anyway, I know this is going around a lot right now, and so I figured I'd do some mid-year content for it, so I'll be doing a ranking as well, but let's jump in. I will note really quick though that I tried to not use the same books or authors, so I took some liberties with a couple of these, but we're gonna go with it. So best book you've read so far in 2022. I went ahead and went with the Long Price Quartet because I have this collection of all of them, and I didn't actually end up finishing this in its entirety until this year. I'm pretty sure started last year if I recall, but I could be wrong, to be honest. I don't remember for sure. But anyway, this was fantastic. Definitely jumped up into my top 10 fantasy series, even though this is 4 books. So like I said, kind of cheating. But each one just really built off a lot of the others, so I went with that. Best sequel you've read so far in 2022, I decided to go with Men at Arms by Terry Pratchett. This is both, like the 15th-ish world book or something, and more of a sequel to Guards. And I love this. I actually like this more than Guards. I know a lot of people probably disagree with that, because I loved Guards, and the humor, this one had a little bit better pacing than that one did, and I had a blast reading this one for sure. Just all of the jokes worked really, really well for me. So the new release that I haven't read yet but want to, that definitely has to be The Warrior by Stephen Arion, because I don't pay that much attention to new releases for the most part, but I really liked The Coward, and so I plan on getting this, and I haven't gotten it yet, but I definitely plan to get that and to give that a read. And then the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Once again, I don't pay a ton of attention to new releases. This probably, though, would have to be The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson, just because that's, I think, one of the only things I actually have pre-ordered. And I need to reread the first 3 of Era 2. I don't remember liking them as much as Era 1, but I also don't remember a whole lot about them at this point because I read them all at release instead of reading them all together. So probably need to reread there, but I'll be really interested to see because I know book 3 really did a lot to set up where it's going, so it'll be interesting to get to there. Biggest disappointment. This is one that shouldn't have as much competition as it does, but I have to say from earlier in the year, probably the Winnowing Flame, which starts with The Ninth Reign, which I was looking over and I remember, no, I don't even have those books anymore because I got rid of them. I ended up DNFing early in the 3rd book because I just was hating my entire time with the series. I had heard good things. A ton of people in Discord joined for the buddy read because they'd heard good things, and a lot of us didn't enjoy. Some people did. I really, really did not, so that was disappointing. More recently, probably In the Shadow of Lightning by Brian McClellan, because just the premise, things I've heard about the author, I was like, oh, this should be really good, and it just was very, very mediocre and not great at all. So those would probably be more so the biggest disappointments. Now, something that probably could have also been an answer to that is what I used for the biggest surprise, because of the fact that I've heard for a long time, since I started Realm of the Elderlings, that the Rainwild Chronicles are the low point of Realm of the Elderlings. So I went in with very low expectations. I went in expecting to be disappointed, and somehow it was still worse than I was expecting. It's like I've commented for like the meme of Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle, like, I have no expectations and you still let me down, or I expect nothing. And this really was not fun for me to read, and I got through them pretty quickly. It was the only saving grace, but I was surprised that I could be that disappointed and sad reading something Robin Hobb wrote, with how I felt about the first 9 books in Realm of the Elderlings. So I decided to put that there. Now we're moving back over to positive ones, so no more negativity for a bit. So favorite new author, whether it's a debut or a new to you, I decided to go with David Gemmell for this because I read Legend last year, and then I read, I think, the rest of the books I read this year, including King Beyond the Gates, Quest for Lost Heroes, which I'm holding, Winter Warriors, and then very recently Waylander, and I have just enjoyed the heck out of these books, reading them physically, I really enjoyed them. And then I started doing audio with Sean Barrett too, and he's like the perfect narrator for these particular books that often have elderly men in them. But Quest for Lost Heroes still has to be my favorite of the Drenai books that I've read so far. This book, just the entire premise, it's you know, the retired kind of redundant heroes who aren't needed anymore going on a quest, but it's not exactly what you would expect the quest to be for a fantasy story. Just so much about it. I really, really love this one. I still think is my favorite one, and I've been enjoying the heck out of Drenai. So I've been really, really glad that I've been reading more David Gemmell, and definitely intend to finish out reading all the Drenai books and also explore his other series, because I've been having a fantastic time. So the next one then is Newest Fictional Crush, and I've done this tag before, and I don't really have an answer. I don't really think about characters that way, like, oh, this new character, so I really don't know. I even tried to look through my books and like just make up an answer and figure something out, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I really don't have an answer for this one. But newest favorite character, I do. This is probably some recency bias, and also there's some other characters I easily could have said, but those books appear elsewhere. So I decided to go with Arathon from Curse of the Mistwraith, because I absolutely loved this character. This is Arathon here, and just his character in the character study, just like the tortured soul who's trying to get past everything. He just wants to, you know, give up his responsibilities and just go and do what he loves, but he can't. And the character I felt for quite a lot with this book, and I'm excited to continue. So I decided to go with Arathon on that one. So then the book that made you cry, and I've still yet to have a book that made me cry, so I always go with the book that gave me the most like sad emotions, which has to be Fool's Assassin. This book was just like, I was hooked from the prologue, and I said this when I talked about it. The prologue hooked me, already made me sad for fits, and the epilogue was just beautiful. And so I think this is probably going to end up being my favorite book out of this trilogy, based on where I'm at with having finished the second one and where I'm at with the third. So this one was just excellent. And Book That Made You Happy also had a character that could have easily been in here, and I absolutely had to go with Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Now, this is the physical. I didn't read physically. I did audio because I'd been told to, and I agree. That audio book was just exactly what I need. It's narrated by Ray Porter, and there are some like different things that involve sound in here that were put in as well. And I was in a reading slump. I was reading books that I wasn't disliking, but I just couldn't, for some reason, like I was just reading so slowly, and I was in a reading slump. And so I ended up listening to this, and I was going through it so fast because I just had to know what's going on. I absolutely loved it. I just had a fantastic time listening to that one, and I'm excited to check out more of Andy Weir, because the book itself was really, really good, and the audio as well just even added to the enjoyment with the way certain aspects were presented. So that one was also a big surprise. I was not expecting that to be one of my top books of the year, and it absolutely was. So it could have been the answer for a lot of questions, but I kept it for this one, because just with sheer enjoyment and like happy feelings from a book, that one is number one so far this year. The most beautiful book you bought this year or received. So I have some other ones too that I could have probably gone with. I decided to go with Warbreaker, the Leatherbound by Brandon Sanderson. This was the last of like the original ones that I needed, and I got this from my buddy Walker, who still had one. They ended up, I think, putting this back out for sale, but this is one of the original ones I got from him. And before that, because I didn't know when they were going to put them on sale. But so I was really happy to get this. These books are all beautiful, and this one is certainly no exception. The last question, oh boy. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? And so many. Too many. I did an MBR video of all kinds of different books that I'd like to start getting to. Like some big ones are continuing Thomas Covenant Chronicles, Course of Dragons. I still have a bunch of other series I've started too that I need to finish, including like Greenbone Saga, The Greycoats. So many books. I have just way too many. But I'm going to hopefully start making a bigger dent in them. I've slowed down a little bit with some of my reading, but I did look, and I'm only like I've read a little more than half of what I read last year as of like the midpoint of this year, but I'm only like 10,000 pages under what I read for the whole year, which is, you know, shows you I've been still reading. I've had a lot of really long books, so I want to up my book count though, get some shorter things in and go from there. But yeah, I have way too many things to read for sure. But that is the mid-year freakout tag. I'm not going to tag anyone because I'm pretty late to this, and I feel like most people have probably already done it. If you haven't, though, definitely go ahead and do it. I know this is one that most people around BookTube will do, but that's what I have for this one. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like. Check the link in the description for the Wizardly Duo Discord if you want to chat books, whether any of the books I mentioned here in this video, other books, or really anything at all. It is a lot of fun, and we would love to have you. Of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.